should I be having access to this stuff?
Alright, so actually, I think I'll go over the structure of the meeting when we have these things set up. And
alright, awesome.
So, real quick, game pitch is going to be 5 minutes from each game designer. We'll have a really short Q&A from Dave, talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. Voting is going to take place during the second half of the meeting, so in that 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock time period over BEC 322. Alright, so actually, I think I'll go over the structure of the meeting when we have these things set up, descending order. Real quick, game pitch is going to be 5 minutes from each game designer vote. We'll have and then we're Dave talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. So voting is going to take place during the second half of the meeting, so in that 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock time period over BEC 322. Alright, so actually, I think I'll go over the structure of the meeting when we have these things set up, descending order. Really at the end of the game, it's going to be 5 minutes for each game designer voting. And we're going to have Dave talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. So voting is going to take place during the second half of the meeting, so in that 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock time period over BEC 322. Alright, so actually, I think I'll go over the structure of the meeting when we have these things set up, descending order. Really at the end of the game, it's going to be 5 minutes for each game designer voting. And we're going to have Dave talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. So voting is going to take place during the second half of the meeting, so in that 5 o'clock time period over BEC 322. Alright, so actually, I think I'll go over the structure of the meeting when we have these things set up, descending order. Really at the end of the game, it's going to be 5 minutes for each game designer voting. And we're going to have Dave talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. So voting is going to take place during the second half of the meeting, so in that 5 o'clock time period over BEC 322. Alright, so actually, I think I'll go over the structure of the meeting when we have these things set up, descending order. Really at the end of the game, it's going to be 5 minutes for each game designer voting. And we're going to have Dave talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. So voting is going to take place during the second half of the meeting, so in that 5 o'clock time period over BEC 322. Alright, cool. Alright, so actually, I think I'll go for each game designer voting. And we're going to have Dave talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. So voting is going to take place.
Okay.
During the second half of the meeting, so in that 5 o'clock time period over BEC.
Whoa! That was going to happen.
Alright, so I think I'll for each game designer voting. And we're going to have Dave talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. So voting is going to take place.
That's what it was called before. Okay. So
during the second half of the meeting, so it's like
whoa! I thought it was going to happen.
Alright, so for each game designer voting. And we're going to have talking about choosability and general understanding of the concept. And then we'll have voting. So
That's what it's called before. Okay. So, Mega Man Legends is this basic texture and level of quality of modeling that I hope to adapt for the game. Something like this. Something like this. Like no light, no real lighting, no real reflections. The astronaut, I hope like that's what the glass would kind of look like. Just more examples of low poly design. In terms of the camera angle and what I want the game to kind of look like, I took this from a game called Highway 2000 for the Sega Saturn. This is kind of what I want the game to look like in terms of camera angle. You see the car in the middle of the road and just driving in the middle of the screen. And basically, this isn't mine, but I found it online. This is what I want a basic car to look like in the game. Something like this. Yeah. So what are the goals of each sort of group we have? For the artists, I want like you're gonna have to develop 3D assets and some good textures. For the composers, I want like, since it's from nightfall to sunset to sunrise, I want it to be a very quiet game. And atmospheric music, text, sound prompts whenever text shows up. Programmers, they need to make a driving engine. I don't know if you guys can do that or not. And a way like to do branching paths that sort of interconnects. And for content, since these are a bunch of short vignettes, just think of different ways that you can make stories with that premise of what would a person be doing to drive so far, so long. And so why does long drive stand out? It rewards players for like, everyone loves to make decisions in games. Like they want to feel like what they're doing in the game matters. So with this, you can decide how the game plays out and how the story ends up, like at the end. And the open-ended gameplay encourages, again, players to experiment. It rewards people for like finding things, and it can cross genres. This thing can be a chase between like police officers, a horror, love story, long drive. Okay.
Thanks, man.
Do I stand here for the Q&A?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be an open world, but more of a linear sort of spline
Yeah.
situation where you pick different routes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, those sort of story-driven games are very, very popular right now. They work to the group we've got. Yeah, well, yeah.
Thank you.
Down, up. Do we have audio? Yeah, we have audio?
I mean,
Maybe.
Really?
Oh, we probably do not have audio.
Who's over there unplugged? Oh no, I don't have to start anyway.
We probably don't have audio, and if you want to set it up, it is going to eat into your time.
Okay. It doesn't take long to set up. It's actually embedded into this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, you ready?
Okay, I'm a delete, and my game pitch is going to be called Don't Look Back. Oops, wrong one. A brief description of the game. Basically, what's going to happen? Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to take a relic through a labyrinth to get to the shrine. So that's basically just a brief download. And in order to, what happens is your hometown is overrun by demonic spirits, and you have to take the relic into the shrine to restore your hometown. So the theme and genre is going to be horror, and it's going to be first person too. So it's going to be a single player game. It's going to be a full campaign with possibly checkpoints, which I haven't decided. It's going to be left up to you if you guys want checkpoints or not. And the gameplay summary. So the player is going to be navigating through a labyrinth and in attempts to get to the center where the shrine is going to be at. And in order, you have to take the relic again to the center of the labyrinth at the shrine to restore your hometown, which has been overrun by demonic spirits. So the labyrinth can change depending on, I guess, like randomized. So you could be going through the labyrinth and it's just going to be stone bricks, but then the next thing you know, it'll transform to look something like a manor hallway, or just a narrow, dark corridor. And it'll also be like things interfering with your visual, like ahead of you. So there'll be possibly shadows at the end of the hallway. And it will get foggy sometimes too, so there'll be fog and shadows, or just general fog to make seeing and navigating through the labyrinth difficult. And there will also be lights that will come from in front that will kind of hinder your vision. So again, that will make it difficult to navigate through the labyrinth. And there will also be dead ends too. So it is called Don't Look Back for a reason. You can't turn around and you can't look behind you. You have to keep looking forward at all times. And if you turn around, then it results in a game over because you'll get captured by one of the demonic spirits that are chasing you. So if you do run into a dead end, you could do either like a random number generator or like a coin flip generator to decide if a demonic spirit will be behind you when you turn around, or just nothing, or a jump scare. And I also want to have this game rely on audio, so like noises, whispers, and all that. So like this is like an example. I don't know if it's playing. I don't think it is. But there's like, if any of you guys have played Fear and you know of Alma, sometimes when you're going through the game, you'll hear whispers and you'll just hear like banging and stuff like that. That's kind of how I want the audio to be in the game. So I think it's possible to complete in 8 weeks, depending on, again, on how you guys want to do the labyrinth. You could either do it simple, just a simple basic labyrinth, or you could go complicated and get David Bowie and capture a girl and navigate through the labyrinth if you want to, and include magic and stuff like that. It's really going to be depending on preferences on you guys and programmers. So what makes my game interesting or different, you can't turn around. That increases the difficulty. If you turn around, you will either start from the beginning, or if we do include checkpoints, we'll start from the last checkpoint. It also combines common elements of horror games, so you could either come up with a way to navigate through the labyrinth, or you could just wander around until you get to the shrine. And the background noises and obstacles that I mentioned earlier will also hinder and make the game a bit more difficult. So it would be best played with either headphones, and again, up to you guys whether or not you want to include checkpoints. And that's it. Thank you.
All you.
Yeah.
Oh, I keep forgetting. I'm sorry, I missed out, you know.
You're so eager.
That's so good. I mean, one of the core design aspects that a lot of designers, when they look at these sort of games, is keeping the player alive these days. It's quite refreshing to see something where you're just going to kill them off. It goes against one of the core concepts of design keep, but everybody's breaking it at the moment just to bring these new sort of horror aspects out, which is good. Yeah, the nice thing is you can keep it modular, so you can have a very small maze, or you can build it up and you can just keep appending things onto it. So it definitely is feasible within the 8 weeks. The only thing that would be is getting the art aspects exactly right. Things like with Unity and using sort of like a pro license, which costs a fair amount of money to get the sort of rendering that you're looking at, whether that be blur, motion blur, gloss, and all those sort of things that you need for a horror genre. So you need to find some aspect where you can maybe not use those, it's quite expensive. But no, I like it. It's good. I love the horror genre. I can see in VR as well.
All right, now. Eventually I'll get this right. And you don't need anything set up, right?
So yeah, my name is Alyssa. You guys can just call me Gail. And my game's called Zero Period. And pretty much what this game is pretty much based off of is like classic RPGs, JRPGs. Like it's a story-based game, so there's not much action. It's story-based and puzzles. And I was thinking like puzzles can be based on like how difficult you guys want to make them. It can be easy, medium, and hard. And okay, so pretty much the basic of this game is the main character. I was thinking like you could choose like gender before the game. After you pick a character and put in a name, you're pretty much you're running late to school, and pretty much you're stuck in a room, and this person through the intercom is telling you you have to kill people unless you want to die. And so pretty much the main character just goes around school, going after these targets that the last speaker is telling them, and meanwhile they're trying to figure out like who this person is and what they want.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Oh, yeah. So that's pretty much the story. I think the game's pretty feasible. It's like it's a straightforward storyline. Like we can add twists to it later. Like the biggest twist that I wanted to make though was that the main villain, the person speaking, is the player. And pretty much like there's pretty much like the whole game is about trapping your targets and killing them. Trapping could be like really like simple, like you have to find the items like through puzzles, and then pretty much setting the traps is just like select a space feature like just arrow key space bars in the simple settings. And I guess what makes this game different because it's and like I wanted to base it off like kind of the horror RPGs that are out now. And how there's always like this really weird twist. How you can always see like the characters going slowly insane, and when you replay it, you can see like all those hints and how everything is just leading up to that one point in the story. And the controls are, I think the controls are just fairly easy, like just simple arrow keys, spacebar, save. Like I was thinking for like you could save at like any time, like no checkpoints and all that. And
So which you said was like a Hitman JRPG sort of mashup? Okay, yeah, I can see that. That's good.
Now we'll just say that.
Zero period.
All right, cool.
I hope not.
What's up, Aaron? What's up? Picking up your stuff? Picking up your stuff? Well, one more time about that. All right.
Alright, so I guess it's not compatible, so I'm just going to do it from this. I guess? Alright, I guess. Okay, welcome to Victor Super Duper Awesome Game Pitch. My project name is going to be Only Hero. I didn't think too much about that because you guys said that we're probably going to change the project or the name of the video game. So I know it's a little cliche, but let's just move on. My brief description. Andy, that's you, wakes up with amnesia, and all Andy remembers is their name, and they're basically handcuffed. So an enigmatic voice helps Andy move through the game and fight horrible creatures, and Andy eventually finds out about a past better left forgotten. The theme and genre is a 2D psychological mystery fantasy side-scrolling fighter platformer. Very long. But well, yeah. Game mode description. Besides it being a 2D side-scrolling fighter platformer, it's going to be single player and a full campaign. So for people who want to play with other people, I'm sorry. Gameplay summary. This is a little long, and since I didn't kind of memorize it, I'll just talk about it. It's gonna be a fixed camera, kind of like Mario. So it's focused on main character Andy, and it's gonna use directional controls to move through platforms, traps, and monsters to save the damsel in distress in the end of the level. So let me give you guys a quick scenario. If Andy is walking and sees a little child, that little child can turn into a monster, or it could be a savable character. If it's a monster, let's just say it's a monster. If it's a monster, basically, if Andy touches it, the screen goes dim a little. So every time Andy touches a monster, the screen goes dim, and eventually if Andy touches a monster too much, the screen dims into, it's going way too slow, into a game over. Okay. And to prevent this, Andy has weapons, and it's based on a rock, paper, scissors system. So kind of reminiscent of Pokemon. So rock, weapon, beats, scissor, monster, and like that. So basically it's all about finding the right weapon. And I don't know if we should include a punishment for using the wrong weapon on the wrong monster, but we can talk about that later. Feasibility, I think it's going to be very story intensive. So it's a story driven game. So content people, let's have fun. Programmers, 2D side-scrolling isn't that too intensive of work. So like we can get really creative with certain aspects of the game, like the weapon system and the level design. For art, it's a little complicated. So instead of focusing more on the foreground, we're going to focus on background. So the foreground is going to be all shadows and easily designed. The background can be repeating, but it's going to be more dark, like a Bioshock kind of thing. It's and the monsters, I don't want them to be 8-bit. Like I want them to be more like BlazBlue and Under Night in Birth. And for the cutscenes, I just want like 2 full arts or maybe 1 full art that's just panning with words on the bottom, kind of like this full art of Transistor. And what makes my game different? So if you guys noticed, when I was talking about Andy, I never said any gender because Andy is actually a girl. So Andy has androphobia, which is basically the fear of males. So every monster that she fights is actually representative of her fear of males. So basically monsters equals males. The whole journey happens in her mind. So her psychiatrist is actually helping her out in the real world, get rid of her fear of males by fighting these monsters in her mind. And every female that she actually saves throughout the level, whether they're old or young, are actually herself. So, yeah, so there's no damsels in distress in this game, really. It's just her being her own heroine, girl power. Special note? Thank you.
Yeah, I like it. Can you just give me that rock, paper, scissors sort of idea that you're thinking of doing this last time? Give me an example of just playing out.
So, for example, if there's a monster that's weak to a sword and use like a gun on it, then it'll look black or something. So you can get like really creative with the bosses, so they can have like two sides, so each a sword on one side and each a gun on another.
So the character's going to meet and then stop, and then you get to do your selection, and then you get to fight out.
I think it's going to be more reaction based.
Okay, that's good. Good stuff. Yeah, I like it. The story is definitely unique. I like it. Good stuff.
Is that already on here?
Probably not.
Oh shit. Fucking no. So I sent my slideshow to the program's email.
Shut up. No one likes you anyway. Bitch.
Yeah. Very simple. So
Yeah.
Alright. This. Damn, how do I control what? Control F5. Thank you. Alright, so mine is not gonna be as funny as this. But I did do a bit of here are the arrows. I did do a bit of pixel, not an artist, so it's not fancy. But my game pitch is called The Smith, and it takes place in a pseudo-modern fantasy setting, meaning essentially it's modern day, but it's a fantasy setting, so there's orcs and goblins and stuff using guns. And so in the game, the player will live as a dwarven gunsmith, and the whole gameplay design is that you build firearms through a crafting system, and then sell your weapons to the townsfolk and traveling adventurers or villains and so forth and so forth. Granny Smith, his grandmother, Granny has asked her grandson, the Smith, to reopen the family's gun shop and rebuild their reputation as master weaponsmiths. She also wants him to find. Oh, I don't have to do that. She also wants him to find a wife. The shop, as part of feasibility, the whole game will take place in the shop as a sort of stationary game like FTL or Papers, Please, where there's really only one screen and then a bunch of menus and selectability. So it'd be really more along the lines of point and click rather than using arrow keys to move around. The gunsmithing itself, there should be a wide array of weapons to find, buy, and craft in the game. And so most customers will come in and come out and just pick up a pistol or a shotgun for home defense needs, but certain clients need special weapons. Take an elf, for example, who's brought this old rifle to the smith to have it repaired because it is an old ceremonial rifle that belonged to his great uncle, and he'd like it restored for an upcoming event. And so because of the personal significance, you can charge more money for it. But as it turns out, this is a legendary weapon. And throughout the last Great War, it gained, through its deeds of killing 1,000 orcs in battle, it gained an enchantment to do bonus damage to orcs. And this is really cool because I also want an enchanting element where you can break down items, take their enchantments, and apply them to other items into your crafting that becomes a part of your skill set in the game. But there are complications. Every legendary weapon comes with some sort of baggage. This rifle that does bonus damage to orcs is quite insulting to the orcs that live in the town that you currently moved to. An orc minority group has expressed their outrage and demand you destroy the weapon because of its racist design. What is the player to do? Player choice. So from here, the player can decide to either fulfill the order, take the money, and be done with it, or they can destroy the weapon like the orcs demanded and appease them, maybe have them customers later. Or they can demand money from the orcs in exchange for destroying the weapon. Or you can just dismantle the weapon, learn the enchantment, and create more weapons that do bonus damage to orcs, which help the elves, but the orcs will hit you for it. Paying the bills. Ultimately, the goal is there'll be like a day and night cycle in the game. The ultimate goal is just to pay the bills. Essentially, all sorts of bills come, whether it's buying resources or paying the utility bill or paying for your grandmother's medication so she doesn't go senile. There's just all sorts of expenses come up from the day to day. This local currency called crowns. And as for feasibility, I've already mentioned that this is a stationary game where one location, limited art assets, mostly menus, and systems. I don't really know what. Art assets require little to no animation whatsoever. Maybe just a thing moving around. That's about it. Dialogue can be all text. All it needs for sound is music and maybe some minor sound effects. And then, what's feasible? There are a lot of people here. A lot of us. I'm pretty confident that this isn't too big of a scale of a game. We have particularly a lot of computer science majors in here. That I get worried that maybe the elements of the weapon crafting and the selling and the story branching, I get worried about that, but there's a lot of you guys in here and I have faith in you. And that's about it.
So something like Papers, Please, where the game ramps up, like more and more people turning up and then you having this whole dilemma of letting people in and stuff like that. I take it with this sort of thing you have the same sort of concepts?
Similar concept, maybe not as quickly. Papers, Please is an extremely difficult game that I have a hard time getting through. And I don't want it to be as bleak as Papers, Please, or as demanding. As challenging, yes, but not as demanding where your family will die if you fail. Just where, like, if you don't, like an example was, if you don't buy the medication for your grandmother, she doesn't die, she just goes senile, and she starts misplacing your tools, and then she'll disappear for a little while. She'll come back, and then she's not gonna die, don't worry. And just stuff like that. But I wanted to incorporate this idea I have for pseudo-modern fantasy, where there is a town where orcs do live with dwarves, and there's like racial tension, but it's all good.
So is this going to be an endless game, or is there an end to it?
That is the problem I'm having right now, where I feel like there should be an endless mode, but I want there to be like micro endings where there's specific characters who like come to you for weapons, and depending on what weapons you sell them, or if you even sell them weapons, determines their fate in the world.
Okay, I can see that then. That's good. Good stuff. Thank you.
I am. Oh, I'm pressing end. Okay.
Alrighty. Something in mind, I'm reading from the laptop because great, alright. Alright, cool. So, name of my game is called Life Runner. The goal of Life Runner is to create a method of puzzle solving that relies on observation and imagination to implement the primary mechanic of the game, which is the ability that the character has to possess animals and use their abilities to traverse the world. Having survived a crash landing on a strange alien planet, Rhea must use her powers to find the other survivors and keep herself safe in the process. The general genre is side-scrolling, puzzle solver, like almost everything else is so far. But it's going to probably be pixel art just because that's pretty easy to do really quickly. Kind of like Terraria in style, if you guys know that, Terraria, Starbound, things like that. Anyway, Rhea, having escaped the confines of the crashed ship, comes upon Forest Clear. though the camera normally stays centered on her, in this case it pans to the right, allowing the player to see several strange alien creatures roaming in a forest clearing. A lull in the background noise and a temporary lock on the player's controls allows an upbeat, excited track from the music score to momentarily take center stage. After the cramped puzzles of the derelict ship, now it's time to have some real fun. Behind her lies the ship, so the only way to go now is forward. Continuing on, she finds her path blocked by a large ledge. She's like a 4-year-old girl, so she can't climb, and just jumping that is way beyond her. And having already used her supernatural abilities to solve puzzles in the ship, the player gets that the only way she's going to be able to move forward would be to use the creatures around her. Having noticed several birds earlier, the obvious instinct is to possess one of them and simply fly up to the ledge. However, after many fruitless attempts to get close enough to the birds to take control of one of them, it is clear that another approach is necessary. Off the side of the screen, the player notices several birds have found a perch on a large tortoise-like animal, from whose shell seems to be sprouting an abundance of large flowers that the birds are feeding from. The player instead possesses one of these animals, waits for the birds to come to her, takes control of one, flies to the ledge, and is able to continue. Puzzles can continue to get more complex, involving more complex animal interactions. In one example, a lethal flying creature blocks flight over a chasm. But possessing a jaguar-like creature allows you to catch a monkey-like creature, which can incapacitate the flying creature, allowing the girl to swing across the chasm to safety. There would also be another basic category of puzzles, which kind of is about the interactions of the animals in the ecosystem. So, like, you've seen that there's like a platform that there are a bunch of birds hanging on that are weighing it down, and so you assume the former, you take control of a predator animal that scares the birds off. Birds fly away, the platform raises, you can go anywhere anyway. Feasibility, although the mechanic does kind of inherently require that you create a lot of animals and you program in like behaviors, it seems like a lot of that's kind of going to be in other games anyway. Like this, the animals kind of replace enemy creatures for the most part. 3D platformers are easy to make, and though I have a plan for a story, it's essentially a throwaway plot, so content people just go nuts. As long as you keep the mechanic, that's about it. What makes the game interesting and different? At its core, it's going to be kind of like the Streamlight game. We've all wanted to fly like birds, be lions, be monkeys, things like that. And this lets you kind of do that. I think it would be pretty cool. The main mechanic is simply unique and encourages players to sit back, observe, and try dozens of different combinations of animal possession. The basic plot I have is Rhea, having survived the crash of a spaceship on a strange alien world, must use her supernatural abilities with her father and the other survivors. Now, the game's going to be told kind of from her childlike perspective, but with the player's more adult understanding, they're going to start realizing that things are very different from what she's perceiving. Like, they're going to start understanding that there are no survivors. Her dad didn't make it, essentially. Eventually, rescue teams come to the planet where she crashed to find her and other survivors, but obviously there are none. But they are equipped for a hostile and dangerous world, and to a kid who doesn't know any better, they're much scarier than anything she has experienced so far. Here, the plot shifts in theme to a discussion about the way that not understanding the perspective of others can be dangerous, as a terrified Rhea successfully eludes capture by people who are trying to help her. The game, depending on tone, could either end with her never being returned home, or one of the rescuers realizing what the problem is and risking the dangers of the planet in order to save a scared little girl.
Yeah, so you're going to have an awful lot of behaviours written out for each of the animals to keep it unique as you run through the game. I mean, there are tricks to building behaviours where instead of actually writing a behaviour, you just put an animation curve in for several birds or something like that, so they don't all have to interact properly. So it's more feasible. Okay. So,
Alright, I don't have a PowerPoint. My name is Ryan, and my game is called Dimension. It is a combination of puzzle, action, and adventure. It's a side scroller, but it also allows for so you can go up, you're allowed to you're also allowed to go down. If you want to say it's a combination of great puzzles and elements, video game, and then you can also say it's has some action elements that you can take from Zelda. The storyline is you have a young and clairvoyant main character. So your clairvoyant character begins by, for those who don't know, clairvoyant means you can tell the future. She senses that the world is about to go out of balance, so she goes on a quest to save it. Now, the clairvoyant also works as kind of a tutorial. Before you face a new challenge, before you face a new aspect of the game, she'll use her clairvoyance to see, basically how to pick up objects, how to interact with people, how to attack, and stuff like that. And as the challenge get more difficult, she can use her clairvoyance to figure out how to beat the challenge, but hint towards how to beat the challenge. So you have your young clairvoyant main character, sensing that the world is going to be thrown into darkness. So she goes on a quest to receive 4 stones of balance. So the 4 stones are time, power, wisdom, and light. Okay, so these 4 stones, time, power, wisdom, and light, are all guarded by your bosses. Before you start the boss fight, you'll be able to collect the item. And why I chose to have you collect the item before you fight the boss is because you're going to need to use that item when you fight the boss. The elements or the items aren't really purely collectibles, they're actual items you can use. So you go to fight the first boss, before you defeat the boss, you'll, for example, pick an hourglass representing time. Then you have the power control time during that boss fight. Usually you're going to need that power to defeat the boss. Another way items play, let's take a scenario for example. So you're at the beginning of the game, you're walking, you see a couple ledges, you want to jump up the ledges, you go up there, you see a pillar moving up and down really fast, pretty much blocking your path. So right now, you can't get through it because if you try to go through it, it's moving too fast, you'll die. So you go on, you continue playing the game, you get to the first boss, you take the collectible, you defeat the boss, now you have the opportunity to control time, okay? If you choose to, you can go back to that previous level, you can go back to that same obstacle, moving stone, going up and down fast. Now you have the ability to slow down or stop time. This is how you're going to get past the obstacle. You don't have to do this, these are really secrets, but these are collectibles you need in order to upgrade your weapon. You get one weapon throughout the entire game, and there are going to be coins scattered throughout the game where you can use these coins to upgrade your weapon. Now, like I said, you don't have to go through the moving wall, but if you do, you're going to find a large reward where you'll upgrade your items easily. So, as you continue playing, you'll collect these items. Time gives you the power control time. The power gives you the ability to block abilities. This is what you're going to need to defeat the next boss. Wisdom gives you the power to move objects with your mind. And then, I won't talk about the last one yet because I'll get to that in a minute. So, we have, in this game, a single player title, a full campaign, and I also said it's going to be puzzleistic. So, when I say puzzleistic is, you have both side scrollers or both 2D platformers that you go, you can attack, and he's dead, move on, attack, and he's dead. In this game, there will be something maybe like that, where you can simply attack them to defeat them. So there might be enemies as you progress, where if you try to hit them from the front, they might block your attack. Okay, so what do you do? So what you have to do is, you stop time, you jump around, and you kill them from back. Different puzzles, things like this, on a simple level, but kind of require a little bit of thinking, you're going to be in the game. If you want to get all the secrets, if you want to get that 100% achievement, you're going to have to think harder, because there's going to be puzzles that require you to use, 2, 3, all the elements in order to get past the puzzle. I think the art team will have a lot of fun with this game because every couple levels the areas will change. You might start off near your hometown where feel like scenario, grass, trees, stuff like that. Once you start getting closer to the end of the game, things start deteriorating. Like some caves, you come out the caves, everything's on fire. The lava, the caves kind of setting. And then once you get to the very end of the game, it gets dark, everything's corrupted. So I feel like the art team can have a lot of fun creating different kinds of areas. As you move on to new areas, you'll find enemies based on the attributes of that area. I think the programmer team is going to hate me because this game requires a lot of different behaviors from a lot of different enemies. Combining time stopping, while still allowing your character to move, moving objects that are near you, stuff like that, will require a little bit of thinking of the programming team. and then the concepts you can also build off of, because I feel like the ideas are there, just they just need to be built off of. The last thing I want to talk about is I want this game to be suited towards both casual players and hardcore gamers. So there's a couple of different settings. There's a relaxed difficulty setting where you can play the game at your own leisure. Once you get to certain levels, you can actually have an option to skip the level.
All right, sorry. All right, let's turn over the monitor.
But what you can do is when it's going down the design, it's taking on, is you can actually modularize that so that later on you can just use time even further with it, so you pick up the pounds. And then if you need to drop something off the end, because you're running out of time building it, then you can. Good stuff. Okay.
So this is the next class that we're doing. Here's the class that we're doing here. And then after this, we're going to go over to BC 3.2 server class. All right, never mind. Is it all right to give us Okay, cool. And anyone who has to leave, write your top 3 in descending order, and then we'll tally your drugs, okay? Ready?
You got the name or the tentative name of my name is introduction. Story company is an alien transfer, which is generally considered by integrations and a lot of other out there to be kind of a battle place. Humans don't have a very good reputation. They're considered to be crafty creatures, greedy, destructive, generally the lowest of low. And so, but one of the only reasons in the middle of the country is you got to have a very rare resource called which is what our breeding is made. So in order to collect this particular young alien has to invade our breeding to collect these that they want. The course of this, you then it is laid out as the dream people are living, or what I'm thinking about. And through this, you will learn more about humankind as using these sort of particular examples. So, the theme genre is an adventure platform, maybe puzzles as well. But it's going to be single player books for the campaign. 2D side scroller primarily. And along the 3D level that they'll be exploring the bundles of ether so they'll be collecting, try to get to certain benchmarks before they leave the planet. But of course, in order to gather these, they have to get it through dreaming, and dreaming will interact with them whether they like it or not. So, depending on what kind of dream they're in, it can be either a good dream or a nightmare, depending on what happens in their visual figure. Primarily, other than seeing kind of usability of it is fun, and the way I thought of it was more of a art style is similar to US cartoony, but there's a lot of emphasis on backgrounds, being very light and smooth, very light, ground images with images, which are images that are dark, nightmares, and potentially adding the interact with the dream. You have a choice of potentially changing it. So the designer uses something to help inside the dream. You turn into a dream, vice versa. And depending on how you do this, in genre rule, if I put inside the dream, they'll eventually end up coming inside, so you're physical at the same time, and the relationship is much powerful than what that is. And we have the lyrics, so like I said, usually we talk about the kind of image, the 2D side scroller with interesting platforming elements, and it's a very story driven inside the dream. And what is different or interesting, it's not to be generic kind of more manipulating. The end goal is for the player who's playing as a game to see the representation of the dream and be able to see other people from a different perspective and get a better idea of other people when you're not really know very well. And so the stable identity is going to be features to be captured. Get it on that with mesh net inside. People will also attach serving us badging.
And then we need like, what did that? Alright.
It's technically the last one, start with like, I think you should talk about how to more build out around how the 3D capture involves in the 3D system.
Alright, cool. So, VGDA 322, we'll continue there. You guys can say, right, your top 3 down, like favorite, give it to one of the